Morris, Brian Williamson. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm talking about overall, not just in like
I know. I'm so happy.
General Motors, GE, General Motors.
Factories,
you know what I mean? Stuff like that.
Blue collar work.
I came from GE.
Post office.
Those were the
Military.
Those were the international harvester. Those were the good paying money jobs.
GE's not a good paying job no more.
No, not now. But back in the 70s and 80s, those were the jobs. You know what I mean? GE.
Yeah.
But like
Philip Morris, Ford.
Yeah.
So let's have that conversation though.
Absolutely.
What happened in what happened when the 90s? So let's have that whole conversation.
What
Nobody
happened
wants
in
to
the
talk
90s
about.
is that
Clinton.
No, not Clinton.
We're in a tech
Listen,
world
what happened in
now.
the
Clinton
90s,
and NAFTA.
No, what happened in the 90s was the implementation.
Shalom. We need to have something when someone breaks a glass. We need to have something when someone breaks a glass.
Now where we at? Because
You're talking about 70s. You're talking about 70s and 80s in terms of
now,
like
in the 70s,
you can go back
okay,
60s.
No, I can speed it up. Okay, 60s building, 70s arriving, 80s black people, working people, families.
Destroyed.
No, in the 80s, no, living their best life.
No.
Listen to me. In the 80s,
No,
in
I
the 80s,
completely
I didn't
disagree.
listen to me. In the 80s, I didn't want for my mom. We didn't want for nothing.
Yeah.
You didn't want
Yeah,
for
you
anything.
didn't want
You
for
didn't want. You
No,
were
I'm
very
saying this-
fortunate.
well, I'm saying this. She didn't want for nothing at the time. I work for the government.
Yes.
Yeah.
Listen, retired veteran.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, no,
I'm a
both
retired
my
war
parents are
veteran.
military, I
Listen,
get
man, retired war veteran. This is what I'm saying is that I had everything that a kid could possibly want: motorbikes, mopeds, clothes. I stayed fly, all of that. Ate what I wanted to eat. You know what I mean? And all that cable, VCRs, beta, the whole nine.
Yeah.
I didn't live back. None of my friends did. I didn't have a whole lot of friends that were downtrodden and living in bandos like they're doing today, or over their house and they don't have nothing to eat. They got to call Leap and getting brown bills. A lot of that wasn't happening because a lot of my friends in the 70s and the 80s that I grew up with had working parents.
Right.
Even if it's just one, working.
Right. But
Every day. Not just every now and then. And we're not talking about Arby's, Walmart, Target. We're talking about Philip Morris, LG&E, the water company.
Yeah, of course.
These are the type of jobs that these women and these men had. So they were working, but then around about 87, little white thing come in the picture.
Crack cocaine.
Crack cocaine come in. That changed the dynamic. That destroyed everything that black folks had been building for 40 years.
Preach, Deborah.
40 years.
In 82.
It had been
in
building.
New York.
So it did. What happened is, you come in, the crack cocaine comes in. The people in the projects, the housing projects, and the lower Section 8 housing wasn't the people that was smoking cocaine. It was the people that was working at the Philip Morris's, the international harvester, the water company, the school teachers. These were the hospitals. These were the people that were doing cocaine.
Right.
So therefore, so when that came in and when the crack came in, so from 86 to 96, it destroyed the black community.
I believe that.
All the way to flatland.
I believe that.
It was like, it was worse than riots. A riot comes in and destroys the whole community.
Right. So
This didn't, crack cocaine came in and destroyed every single thing. It took, black folks owned their homes in the 70s and the 80s.
yes.
All my friends, moms and dads, owned their homes. They wasn't renting. They had mortgages. They owned their homes. They was almost paid for. They owned their cars.
Yeah.
When the crack cocaine came in, what happened? The father starts smoking dope. The mom is still working, taking care of the kids. What happens? The father gets to smoking. Next thing you know, money gets depleted. Next thing you know, money gets missing. Then he loses his job that he's been on for 25 years.
Right.
So he loses his, he depletes his 401k.
And then it backfired on the.
Then she gets fed up with it, so she moves out with the kids. They move into what? A Section 8 apartment. They go from a home to a Section 8 apartment. He stays in the home. He rents the house out to crack dealers to be able to fend off his own addiction.
Yeah.
Right. But
So then everything goes down. So what does he do? He gets a second mortgage on the home. He spends all that, so he loses his property that he spent his whole life buying. So he loses everything. He loses everything. And this is not one person. This is block, by house, by block, by house. No other drugs have affected the black community like crack cocaine.
Yeah.
Not
True.
heroin. Heroin affects
But
one
now we got
individual.
heroin.
Capitalism. Sorry.
Heroin.
Now we got heroin.
I'm sorry.
And we have
like,
ice. We
let
have
me-
Heroin
meth.
affects one individual. Crack cocaine affects the whole entire family.
Yeah, but capitalism, and the need for all of us to shit on each other is the reason why all of us aren't where we're supposed to be.
Yes.
So let's have that conversation.
Well, that's-
and I'm not sorry. This was a conjecture against you because I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. My black experience is a bit different because my family grew down. I'm from the Carolinas originally.
Okay.
So my family's been down in the Carolinas since the 17th century. I speak Gullah. Gullah is the tongue of the slaves because all of us came over from West Africa. Africa is a continent. It's not a country. So when they brought us all over, they switched us all up amongst each other in different ships so that we couldn't speak to each other and form groups because people were intelligent. They weren't just these, dumb, people sitting out in the wilderness doing nothing. The reason why they specifically picked us was because most of the white people had already died in the 16th century when they tried to bring them over the first
But they bring
the
them
second
over
time.
before then.
Yeah, right. And we were already here too. They were already
slaves in
indigenous. Yeah,
Americas.
don't get me started. But I'm trying to fast forward it.
Right.
The point I'm saying is that, so I think that there's a big digression in the United States of what we don't talk about. And there are black people that live in the countryside, and there are black people that live in the city. And black people that live in the countryside, their life and their experiences are completely different than black folks that live in the city. And we don't get a lot of that voice. We don't get a lot of that voice. Yes. My parents grew up in the countryside where there was no pimp man. There was no money to see. Everybody was broke. Everybody was poor. They rubbed chicken grease on their legs to school for lotion. I'm talking about like that level, all right? But my grandparents own their own land. To this day, we still own all our own land. If you look at trajectory, how most families are in terms of like what they eat, my family, everybody's healthy. We don't have these problems because we grow our own food. And Janae, you come to my house, I have my vegetables are planted outside right now. I got collard greens and cabbage. Like, I don't mess around with all of this other stuff. So what I'm trying to say is that I understand, part of me was a bit naive growing up in a military base establishment where like, oh, we're all equal, we're all the same, la, 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 right? And then you take a step out of that and you realize how much of all of this, even institutionally here in Louisville, Kentucky, I am 39 years old, clear 6 figures a year, and I can't get an apartment. I go to 2 or 3 different apartments in 2020. I clear good money. I have immaculate credit, no problems, no nothing. And I can't get an apartment in Louisville, Kentucky because I used to live in Paris for a bunch of years, and then I bring them all my documentation. My accountant is here, you guys know. And I can't get an apartment in Louisville, Kentucky in 2020. So there's clearly some institutional things that are still here, to even include that. What's the Walmart? The Walmart is Bashford Manor, right? Do you guys know what Bashford Manor means?
Yes.
Bashford Manor is the slave market.
Yes.
Bashford Manor is what they sell slaves
It should be the
on.
mall.
Yeah, it should be the mall. It was a slave mall.
Yes, it was a slave mall.
Yes.
And so all of these things are still sitting around to remind us that we are subservient, so we are subhumans. And when you go to Germany, you don't see colonels of Nazis. You don't see any of this stuff around. They take all that stuff and they put it in a museum somewhere. All of this stuff from Broadmoor Estates, all of these last names, all of this stuff here is all directly tied to keep their neck on you. You don't even realize that you can't breathe.
Yes, but that's always going to be how they perceive it. But I don't necessarily have to go about the way of doing business with them. You know what I mean? Yes, truly.
It's not business. It's to understand your environment. To understand you, in order to like survive it, first you got to understand it. If you're not able to understand it, if I'm over here shooting you over some J's, or just because you got a 92 Lexus with 22s on it, then we're not able to have a deeper conversation. And what I'm trying to say is that there's not a lot of us that sit around and have, as black folks, you know what they do. They take us all and put us in this one stereotype. But we all know that we are all very different. We all come from different walks of groups, and we're not monolithic.
Right.
But there is a very dark system behind the closed doors that is designed to keep you down.
Yes, absolutely.
And I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
Yes,
and I'm not disagreeing with you. I think for me, it was more matter of fact. I think for me, it was really effed up to have that light bulb, and we're like, damn.
But
There's definitely systems in place that has oppressed us. But at the same time, there's a lot of opportunities.
Come on,
too.
man. I mean, I'm the American
I'm
dream.
always a person that looks at the cup half full.
Right.
You know, yeah. I can look at everything that's preventing us from getting ahead and stuff like that, or I could look at the opportunities that I do have and try to take advantage of them when they come my way or when I make them happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but that makes us the
It all
exception.
depends on your mind.
That makes
It
us
all
the
depends on
exception
your
and not the
mindset.
rule.
Yeah.
Too busy thinking about winning to be putting any time about thinking about losing.
God provided the worms for the bird, but he still has to go to work and get them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
He's definitely got to
Point
do that.
blank. Like you said,
It's out there, man.
He's definitely got to do that.
Then you had a
and
bad
I understand the
experience.
mindset that you're talking about, and things that are around us that remind us. You're right. I did not know that about Bashford Manor.
Yeah,
I didn't know that about
yeah.
Bashford
You know what I'm
Manor
saying?
either.
You didn't know
That just
that?
blew my
Yeah.
mind right there, man.
You didn't know-
I did not know that about Bashford
Yeah.
Manor, man.
Yeah, man.
But
Yeah.
I agree with you 100%. There's systematic little things.
Just to pick up on
I've not been out of the country to see what Paris and all that looks like.
Stop it.
I see that we are taking down statues around the country.
Hell yeah.
People are protesting about that. They are now putting them in segregated places like museums and stuff like that. Instead of just being in front of government buildings and
I feel like I've become
places.
like this. So let me just take a step back because I feel like I've become like the militant one now. I'm like ready to
Sometimes
get everybody down. I get like that.
You don't know the history behind some of these statues. You walk past them and you just think that they're great leaders of some type of war or military battle or a historic figure. But like the one that was up there by the courthouse, y'all.
Yeah.
Sitting right there in front of you.
Square.
Yeah, Thomas Jefferson.
Sitting right there in front of you.
That they trashed, you know what I'm saying, during the Breonna Taylor ruling and
No, that was the Louis French Louis the 16th.
Is that what the city's named after?
Okay, so Louisville is French.
It's definitely
Louis
French.
Yeah.
Ville
It's
means
like-
city.
Right,
The
I
city
know
of
this,
Louisville.
yeah.
It's a French city.
It's French.
It
It's a
probably
French city.
stemmed from Louis because I've seen a couple things.
Or
about,
Versailles, Kentucky.
That's what that symbol is. That's a French symbol.
It's a French
The
symbol.
fleur de lis.
of the king.
The Fleur de lis.
Louis.
Yeah.
Absolutely, but definitely, man. When it comes to the systematic racism, it is things in place. But like she said, I look at the cup half full, and we're not beating up on you.
No.
because,
I can take it. I'm a big boy. Don't worry.
Yeah. No. You said some things.
But you
that's
know,
true. You said some things.
But you know what's
that was
funny is
real.
you made an analogy just now talking about the worm. You still have to go get it.
Yeah.
And what I would say to that is like you out there working for the worm. You didn't realize that these people out here have the worms already shipped for them. They don't have to go and do it.
Right. Now that comes to systematic. I was
That's what
speaking
I'm talking.
naturally.
I agree. Come on, we hustle. We work. I work. Come on, man. You know I work.